Good evening. Welcome to the September 8th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Teresa, if you call a roll.
Councilman Whalen, Councilwoman Standard. Here. Councilman Romano.
Here.
Councilwoman Wallowitz. Here. Supervisor Barrett.
Here, entertain a motion to approve town board meeting minutes of 8/17.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowitz. Discussion.
Councilwoman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz.
Yes.
Okay.
Supervisor Barrett.
I just couldn't get off the phone call.
Okay, so communications and announcements. I saw that we lost a longtime member of the Historic Preservation Committee. He served from '94 to 2010, and that was Joe Platukas. Anybody that was around here during that time knew Joe. He was very dedicated to the committee and the town in many other ways. He also was past president of the Shenandoah Kiwanis Club and had many other interests and activities that he was involved in revolving around Clifton Park. So we just wish the Platukas family our sincerest condolences. And Joe was a great member of that committee for many years. Mr. Romano?
Oh,
Do you want to
yes, Mr.
say something this evening, sir?
Yes, thank you. I guess something leaked out over the last couple of weeks, so I'll be retiring from the board at the end of this month. And I'd like to thank everyone, especially the board, my constituents who I've worked with most of you and some of you for 11 years and some longer than that. It's been a lot of fun, learned a lot, met a lot of nice people. I'd also like to thank the town workers, departments. I mean, I said it when I was asked before, and I think, people don't realize the quality of workers that we have in this town and the employees and what they do, and they go out of their way to help our constituents and whatnot, and also the volunteers. A lot of committee members, and we have a lot of committees that run this town, that help run the town. And some are over passionate, some are passionate, some might not be passionate enough, but they help us get through a lot of issues and whatnot. So with that, hopefully I'll be able to do a little more of some other things in the future. It won't be golf, hopefully. One of them will be that.
We hope so for you.
Thank you.
Well, Councilman Romano has been involved serving the town of Clifton Park in many capacities for decades. We thank him for his lengthy tenure of service, appreciate everything he's done for the town. He did hand in his letter of resignation in the last couple of weeks. And we wish him all the best in the future as he moves on to the next chapter. I know he has a lot of traveling he wants to do, and he and his wife Donna will be doing that, and some other things that he likes to do. They do it a little more often, right?
I hope so.
A little golf, a little R&R. Yeah. So anyway, we wish you all the best, Joe. We're not done with you. I mean, we still have 3 meetings. We can still get our shots in, as we like to do, and who knows, we might have a little surprise for you.
I hope not.
Well, that's why I'm keeping it a surprise. Otherwise, you might not show up the last game.
Could be.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. And, we'll be talking more about Mr. Romano in the coming weeks. Yes, be afraid. Be very afraid. Quick update on our Sibley Road corridor improvement plan project, which is moving along nicely. It's go through the usual initial stages of utilities, moving their infrastructure and installing new where applicable. And that does take some time because there's quite a few utilities involved. So that's been moving along without a hitch so far. I do want to state that on September 21st at 8 o'clock, the Siddeley Road, Wooden Road intersection will be closed and for the week. The 21st is a Monday, so it'll be closed for a week. And a couple of reasons for that. One, it certainly reduces the time frame in which construction will take place. It reduces that time frame by about a month. Also, much safer environment for the men and women who are working in that area. And the third reason is really the right-of-way is fairly small. That intersection is somewhat tight. The Siddeley and Wooden roads are not the widest roads that you'll find. So for all those reasons and from an expedient construction viewpoint, it made sense for them to close the intersection. So it will be certainly a inconvenience for a week for people that frequent Siddeley Wooden Road intersections. But it is the best thing to do in this situation. So we just ask that you plan ahead. We've contacted all of our partner organizations in the town, such as Clifton Park Half Moon EMS, Shen School District, and et cetera. So we thank you for your patience as we work through that. Now, a few months ago, Saratoga County was working toward delaying two projects in Clifton Park that were to take place this year. One was study for a traffic signal at the intersection of Grooms Road and Bishop Ferry Road. The other was reconstruction and repaving of Main Street. And they were working toward delaying those two projects. As a member of the committee, I offered, and we had this discussion here as well, but I offered that the town would loan the county the money to complete those projects. They decided that after, I don't know, a good month or so later, they decided that they did have the money available. So as of today, I did ask about the DPW commissioner of Saratoga County. He said the study for the traffic signal is continuing and that the Main Street project, which it's been ongoing, they're there for a day or two and then they're gone for a number of days and they're back for a day or two. So I just wanted to get a sense as we get into soon to be mid-September. The weather is going to change on a dime here pretty quick, probably. That what's the time frame and the status of completing the project? So I'll have more information as far as an exact time frame for Main Street soon. But for both, I was assured that both projects will be completed as scheduled in 2020. Any other communications and announcements? Okay, we'll go on to resolutions. Teresa, if you could read through the resolutions and we'll consider each one individually.
A resolution adopting local law number 6 of 2020 to amend chapters 152, 153, and 92 of the town code relative to the categorization of certain violations of the animal control and parks laws, and the resolution and acceptance of pleas for citations written by town staff for such violations, whereas chapters 152 and 153 of the town code contains prohibitions. I get caught
Think
up
of
on
the
that.
20s.
Prohibitions. It's one of those words. It's prohibitions against certain activities and actions within the town's parks, pools, and preserves, including violations of park hours, having dogs off leash in the parks, vandalism, and other actions harmful to the administration of the town's parks and public spaces. And whereas Chapter 92 of the Town Code authorizes the animal control officer to enforce certain prohibitions, including those requiring dogs to be licensed, allowing dogs to be off leash, and against attacks upon another animal or person. And whereas on August 17, 2020, the town board held a public hearing on a proposal to amend these chapters of the code to categorize violations of the prohibitions contained in these chapters as civil offenses, and to allow for the resolution of citations written by town security and animal control staff to be resolved by mail in appropriate cases. And whereas by local law number 4 of 2019, the town amended and updated chapter 194 of the town code to provide for the efficient resolution of parking violations via mail or through a web-based solution. And whereas it is the policy of the town board to provide for the most efficient and least time-consuming methods for residents and visitors to Clifton Park to resolve such violations whenever possible. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts local law number 6 of 2020, pursuant to which it is hereby resolved that chapters 152 of town code is hereby amended as attached, and be it further resolved that chapter 153 of the town code is hereby amended as attached, and be it further resolved that chapter 92 of the town code is hereby amended as attached. A resolution appointing Keith Martin as an alternate member for the planning board, whereas a vacancy exists for an alternate member of the planning board, and whereas Keith D. Martin, 8 Wall Street, number 211, Clifton Park, is recommended by the supervisor to fill the vacant position. Now therefore be it resolved that Keith Martin is hereby appointed planning board alternate member for the remainder of 2020, term to expire December 31st, 2020, and be it further resolved that this appointment shall take effect immediately. A resolution changing the location of the September 21st, 2020 town board meeting to the Clifton Park Senior Community Center, whereas by resolution number 1 of 2020, the town office building, Vernon Wood Memorial Town Meeting Room, was designated as the official regular meeting place for the town board, and the official regular meetings were established as the first, second, and third Monday of each month at 7:00 p.m. And whereas by resolution number 152 of 2020, the town board scheduled a public hearing to be held on a proposal to amend or replace the Edison Club Plan Development District. And whereas the potential number of participants at a public hearing being held on September 21st, 2020 would require more space per distancing guidelines due to COVID-19. Now therefore be it resolved that the location for the town board meeting for September 21st, 2020 is hereby changed to the Clifton Park Senior Community Center at 7:00 p.m. to allow proper social distancing during public participation, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is directed to publish notice of the change of the meeting for the place of September 21st, 2020 town board meeting. A resolution accepting the quote of MJ Engineering and Land Surveying PC for a map plan and report for a potential extension of the Clifton Park Sewer District number 2 through Tremont Estates, whereas by resolution number 101 of 2020, the town board retained MJ Engineering and Land Surveying to prepare a map plan and report for the establishment of Clifton Park Sewer District number 2 based on responses to a request for proposals. And whereas the town board wishes to consider extending the Clifton Park Sewer District to include the Tremont Estate neighborhood, which is not currently within any special district. And whereas MJ Engineering has submitted a quote of $2,000 for engineering fees associated with the preparation of a map plan and report necessary for a potential extension of the sewer district for Tremont Estates. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to accept the attached quote of MJ Engineering and Land Surveying in an amount not to exceed $2,000 to be paid from Clifton Park Sewer District number 2 sewer contractual engineering. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign permanent and temporary construction easements to National Grid for the purpose of the installation of a natural gas distribution pipeline along with New York State Route 146, whereas National Grid has advised the town of its intention to construct a new natural gas distribution line along the south side of State Route 146 from Knott Road to the new traffic circle at Route 146. And whereas National Grid has requested an easement equal to 0.25 acres of land east of Sterling Heights Drive for the installation and maintenance of the pipeline and related infrastructure, as depicted in the map attached hereto as Exhibit A, along with temporary rights for construction equipment in the same vicinity during the installation project. And whereas National Grid has offered the town the sum of $516 in exchange for the grant of easement necessary for construction of the infrastructure at an above reference location. And whereas the town board finds the project to be in the public interest and is working with National Grid on various aspects of the project, now therefore be it resolved that the town board accepts National Grid's offer of compensation as indicated, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the attached easement documents conveying temporary and permanent rights to National Grid. A resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with National Grid for vegetative screening and mitigation to the natural gas regulator station at the intersection of New York State Route 146 and 146A, whereas in connection with National Grid's gas pipeline project along the south side of the New York State Route 146, National Grid plans to construct a natural gas regulator station in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of routes 146 and 146A, whereas it is the town's position that the visual impacts of the station should be mitigated with vegetative screening, and whereas National Grid has offered the town the sum of $6,490 to be used for such vegetative screening with plantings and for the plantings design to be determined by the town, and whereas planning staff are in consultation with the New York State Department of Transportation regarding permitting for the plantings, and whereas the town board wishes to accept the National Grid proposal in order to permit, design, and maintain the appropriate vegetative screening for the gas regulator station consistent with the surrounding environment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the sum of $6,490 for vegetative screening of the gas regulator station at New York State Route 146 and 146A, and be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the attached memorandum of understanding with National Grid to accept funding for the aesthetic mitigation according to town designs and installation, and be it further resolved that the comptroller is authorized to deposit the funds into the miscellaneous income with an increased budget, and the corresponding expenditure shall be allocated to general fund and beautification trees. A resolution hiring Michael Kelly as a golf course attendant for the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2020 season, whereas the town board wishes to hire an additional seasonal staff member for the 2020 season at the Barney Road Golf Course, whereas Myla Kramer, Director of Parks and Recreation and Community Affairs, has recommended that Michael Kelly, 35 Moon Drive, Colony, be hired to fill the position. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby given to hire Michael Kelly as an attendant for the Barney Road Golf Course, effective immediately through 2020 golf season at $9.75 per hour to be paid for Barney Road Golf assistance. A resolution authorizing Paul Van Alstine to work as a part-time armed court officer as needed, whereas a need exists for part-time court officers, and whereas Paul Van Alstine, a current part-time guard working for the town, has the necessary experience and has been recommended to fill the position. Now therefore be it resolved that authorization is hereby given to appoint Paul Van Alstine as a part-time armed court officer at grade 6, step 1, to work as needed, retroactive to August 3rd, 2020, to be paid $25.47 an hour to come from security part-time court officer. A resolution recognizing the 200th anniversary of a neighbor of the town of Glenville. Whereas the town of Glenville was officially established by the New York State Legislature on April 14, 1820, and the town board held its first meeting on January 2nd, 1821. Whereas for 200 years, Glenville has shared a border with the lands now known as the town of Clifton Park, and whereas both towns share a similar geography with both heavily wooded and agricultural lands, Native Americans and early American settlers have been among the people who lived in this area and influenced its history and culture. And whereas in the mid 20th century, as many U.S. veterans returned from World War II, the towns experienced exponential growth and development, and the population began to climb. School districts transitioned from one-room schoolhouses to centralized school districts, and investments were made in public infrastructure such as sewer, water, and new town roads and highways. And whereas the town of Glenville has become a diverse, vibrant, and growing community of nearly 30,000 residents with a great school system, recreational opportunities in its parks, and is home to the Schenectady County Airport, the 109th Air National Guard Unit, and the Naval Reserve Unit. And whereas on behalf of all residents of the town of Clifton Park, the town board wishes to congratulate the town of Glenville and all its residents on the bicentennial celebration. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board recognizes the town of Glenville on the occasion of the 200th anniversary for making Glenville a great place to live, work, and play for its residents. We are proud to have you as a neighbor. A resolution authorizing Kate Johnson to serve alcoholic beverages at a gathering to be held at Collins Park and Pavilion on September 19th, 2020, whereas Kate Johnson, 29 North Crest Drive, Clifton Park, is hosting a gathering on September 19th, 2020, 2 to 6 p.m., and whereas Kate Johnson has requested permission to serve alcohol in the form of beer and wine at the event. Now therefore be it resolved that Kate Johnson is hereby authorized to serve beer and wine at a gathering at Collins Park on September 19th, 2020, from 2 to 6 p.m. A resolution authorizing Fifi Wang to serve alcoholic beverages at a gathering to be held at Collins Park and Pavilion on September 11th, 2020, whereas Fifi Wang, 72 Gloucester Street, Clifton Park, is hosting a gathering on September 11th, 2020, from 1 to 4 p.m., and whereas Fifi Wang has requested permission to serve alcohol in the form of beer and wine at the event. Now therefore be it resolved that Fifi Wang is hereby authorized to serve beer and wine at a gathering at Collins Park on September 11th, 2020, from 1 to 4 p.m.
That's it.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, very good. Any questions on the resolutions? All right, Teresa, if you could read the headings, please.
Resolution number 153 of 2020, a resolution adopting local law number 6 of 2020 to amend chapters 152, 153, and 92 of the town code relative to the categorization of certain violations of the animal control and parks laws, and a resolution and acceptance of fees for citations written by town staff for such violations. So moved. Second.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Smallwood. Tom, can you just run through the process we followed real quick again?
We took a look at I spoke to OCA and the judges about, about ways to make this happen, to be able to allow people to send in a plea by mail. Part of the concern was the quasi-criminal nature of the way the penalty was worded. So we changed that to civil penalty instead of violation. We specifically authorized pleas by mail and fax and copy signatures on the plea sheets, the plea forms that we developed. We modified the plea forms. I worked with the judges on that as well. And we took away any old references to, the idea that a judge would have to impose jail time in order to issue a warrant for these violations. And in the last draft, we also specifically authorized the animal control officer themselves to sign the plea sheet so that the town doesn't necessarily have to execute each of them. That office deals with many of these violations and they make the recommendations to us anyway. So we eliminated that last step in appropriate cases.
Okay, very good. So we've worked with various departments within the town to provide an easier option for residents. We've had the public hearing. We're now ready for adoption, unless there's any objections or suggestions.
Tom,
Now or forever hold your peace. Ms. Waller.
when will this go into? I mean, everybody's on board, security, animal control, and
Yes, it'll go into effect immediately, basically, as soon as we get it filed with the Secretary of State. This will be gradually implemented. It's really for people who call up and want to, and want to find a way to resolve these tickets without having to go to night court. The judges are not going to send out proposals. That's usually up to our office to do that. And we're not going to mass mail everyone who's written a ticket with a proposal. But if someone calls up the office and says, gee, I don't drive, or my kid is away, and, you know, or I can't make it Thursday night, is there a way that we can resolve this? Now, the answer is gonna be yes. I said, well, no, we gotta go for it.
Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 154, 2020, a resolution appointing Keith D. Martin as an alternate member for the planning board. So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. Mr. Martin is currently a member of the ECC, Environmental Conservation Commission, here in the town. He has an extensive background and a diverse background. Just reading from his resume here, he lists experienced trial attorney, project manager, and land use planner. In 2001, he joined state government service as a staff attorney with New York State DOT, Division of Legal Affairs, and he recently retired in July of 2020. His primary professional interest is environmental law, permitting, and planning. So as you can see, based on his professional interests, his extensive background, time as an attorney with DOT, I think he's perfectly suited to be a valuable member of the planning board. We appreciate his willingness to invest additional amounts of time. He is aware that the planning board does, out of all the boards, does require the greatest investment of time. But he's prepared for that and very eager. So we want to thank Mr. Martin for stepping forward. Any comments? Okay, Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 155 of 2020, a resolution changing the location of the September 21st, 2020 town board meeting to the Clifton Park Senior Community Center.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mrs. Standard. We did the same with the former Crescent Way Sewer Services meeting that was held. As you can see here with the room, as we're distanced, not a lot of room for spectators. There's a decent amount, but we can certainly hold more people at the proper distance at the community room of the senior center, and that's where the meeting will be held on the 21st. Please.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 156 of 2020, a resolution accepting the quote of MJ Engineering and Land Surveying PC for a map plan report for a potential extension of the Clifton Park Sewer District Number 2 for Tremont Estates.
So,
Second?
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Mrs. Standard. So it's good timing with this. We just accepted the abandonment of the former Crescent Waste Services, which is now under the auspices of Clifton Park Sewer Department, ably managed by Department Head, Chief Sewer Guru, Michael Bryant. Now, Tremont Estates is an area that there's no ownership, quote unquote, ownership of the system that we can find. Perhaps it was or should have been abandoned to the town back in the 80s, maybe 90s, maybe, without any definitive paperwork or paper trail that we can follow. We're just not sure. But now that we own Crescent, the former Crescent Waste, Tremont connects to that system. So it would make sense to now consider accepting ownership of Tremont Estates. We certainly don't want to be in a situation where something happens to the system and there's no mechanism to have it fixed other than the residents themselves banding together You wanna add something there, on that, Mike, as far as the background of it? or-
No, I think, to what you said, over the years, we've been doing this for a while now, and every once in a while, something pops up in Fremont. And the town has gone down there and investigated or given advice to people. They all have actually grinder pumps that they're all aware they all want to take care of, but we've been able to, do what we can because it's been this, Wild West, if you will, of sewer. And now that Crescent Waste is
Yeah,
now
that sounds
under
exciting.
our control, we know that they tie into Crescent Waste. And these ongoing questions and concerns we get from the residents, it'll allow us to really better serve them because it gets awkward when we tell them, there's certain things we can't do. And we're right here, so this will just clear that up and give these people, like the supervisor said, the ability to take care of something major when it happens, in the economy of scale with being part of the bigger district, so.
Yeah, and over the last 20 years, certainly I can remember other idiosyncrasies of Clifton Park infrastructure as the history goes in town and how things were developed and ownership was moved from one entity to the next. The other good thing here is Tremont Estates itself is not that big of a neighborhood. So it would be best for the homeowners to be part of a larger system for economies of scale purposes. So this just makes a lot of sense. Someone did reach out to me. I did send them the map plan report for Crescent Waste, which would certainly apply to them if they're part of that system. But we do need to engage with an engineering firm to also do the same here for Tremont, and that is to make sure we are very clear as to what's involved in the system and all the necessary details that we need, not only now, but years in the future, so that way future boards, future sewer department heads, so on and so forth, have a clear and detailed report that they can reference, something we don't have currently. So that's what this resolution will do, and we can move that process forward. We would do the same process that we conduct whenever we're considering special districts or assuming infrastructure. We would have a public meeting at some point when the map planning report is completed and invite everybody from Fremont to a meeting and discuss how we would move forward. Anything else, Mike?
No, sir.
How are things with the former Crescent Waste?
Really good. The
So far,
guys just
so good.
completed a 2-week marathon cleaning of all the trouble spots that we were made aware of. Our hope is by hitting those every 3-4 months, until.
Tell us a little bit about that without getting into the gory details, but I mean, as far as, what do you mean by that? There was the former owner said, hey, this is an area of concern. You checked it out and, within sewer infrastructure, there can be a buildup of gunk and stuff over the years, which makes the pipe, right? It decreases the capacity of the pipe over time, which can be a problem. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah, over time, and it sounds silly, but when you operate a system long enough, you learn where its little, idiosyncrasies are. And we were fortunate enough to have the guy who operated the system for a long time give us kind of heads up. And a lot of times it's when it was built, it was fine. Over time, things have settled. Over time, things haven't been clean, and just life accumulates in these pipes, just the sand and everything else in life. And in certain areas, it'll just run slow. And anytime a sewer is running slow, you have more of a chance for things to coagulate or catch on things or something like that, and it can cause overflows. So having that knowledge ahead of time, with the equipment we have, we've gone out and investigated some acute problems and identified them. Actually, one of them was a problem for years, according to the residents. And we went out there and found it was a fence post with a blue pail and 2 tennis balls put up against it. We pulled it out and it hasn't been a problem since. So there are certain things that a camera can help out with.
Now, when you say, just explain that, when you say put up against it.
There was a fence post halfway through the pipe and then a child standby pail was pushed against it.
Right.
And 2 tennis balls were in it. And when we saw that, we went through with our jetter and we were able to grab the bucket and the balls and pull it out. The fence post is pending. It's in a difficult spot. We're working with the residents. There is an easement, but there's a lot of fences involved, and we're trying to work it out with everybody that's involved so we can fix it, but have a least amount of impact.
Now, that was decreasing the capacity, as I mentioned
Oh, very
before,
much so.
right? Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about areas that are either settled, flat, potentially roots and stuff like that that are taking over. And until we get some capital to work with, we can prioritize those spots to repair. But for now, just general maintenance goes a long way.
What about the general situation with Briarfield in that area?
Briarfield has been good. There's a similar to Part El Rio for everybody who's been around long enough. There's a gas problem there with hydrogen sulfide. It eats the AC pipe, the transite type pipe. It doesn't do well in that close with gas. And over the years, Crescent Waste has intermittently done repairs. And the last one, they did a large section. But from our investigation, from the point they left off down, we have time. Obviously, the gas doesn't go away. It's still there. It actually comes from Fremont Estates. And that pipe will be due to be replaced. We're going to televise, inventory, have it assessed, and create a plan just like we did with the Northern Clifton Park Sewer District #1. And then basically, we create a map with just red, greens, blues, and tells you where the areas are that need to be replaced. And we go from there. The only problem is, as you know, we've authorized several projects already. It often makes sense to start at the lowest point and start making the corrections up into the system. So you're not fixing something and then realizing you need to tip the whole system to get it to flow better. So,
Yeah, I remember that was the last major problem
Right.
that was reported to us prior to our assuming ownership. That's why it's fresh in my mind. I was just curious if we had any issues there.
I am reluctant.
Well, don't answer
business,
that.
right.
I don't want to
But
judge.
I will say that the system has been functioning very well.
Right.
We're able to.
Well, I've also done a lot of upgrades to the pump stations,
That's right,
electrical
yeah, right away.
upgrades
Yes, sir.
and some other things. So that goes a long way too.
It does.
Spending, I'll say a little bit of money up front, can save a lot of money on the back end.
Yes, sir. And we're able to see trends now. We've installed, as you said, a lot of equipment to let us get an idea what's going on, what the problems are, that kind of thing. So, it's under control.
Good. All right, well, keep us abreast, I'm sure
Yes,
you
sir.
will. All right, so we can move this forward and fix this apparent outstanding issue with ownership of this infrastructure in Tremont. Any discussion, questions from Mike? Okay.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sandberg?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallach? Yes. Supervisor Barry?
Yes,
Resolution number 157 of 2020, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign permanent and temporary construction easements to National Grid for the purpose of the installation of a natural gas distribution pipeline along New York State Route 146.
I'll move.
Second.
moved by Mr. Romano, second by Mr. Whalen. Discussion.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sandberg?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallach? Yes. Supervisor Barry?
Yes,
Resolution number 158 of 2020, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with the National Grid for vegetative screening and mitigation for the natural gas regulator station at the intersection of New York State Route 146 and 146A.
So moved.
moved by Ms. Wallach, second by Mr. Whalen. Discussion. Okay, please.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sandberg?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallach? Supervisor Barry?
Yes,
Resolution number 159 of 2020, a resolution hiring Michael Kelly as a golf course attendant for the Barney Road Golf Course for the 2020 season.
So moved.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen. Lori?
Yeah, Mike Kelly came to me when I was working during the pandemic when we didn't have anybody working over at the golf course and he happened to be a golfer there. And he said to me, I'm retiring next year. He goes, this job looks like something I'd really like to do. So I said, come and apply. And we happened to have a need at the time, right now. And so he jumped on board and he's a nice guy from down in Colony.
All right. Any questions? Susan?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowitz? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution.
Oh, hey, one thing, with the rules at the course, there's some, I don't know exactly how it's worded, but it's something along the lines of you can't play out of one bag. So like a father and mother and their child go there as a duo, you know, dad or mom might only use 2 or 3 clubs because it's a shorter course. So they put everything in one bag, they show up, and then they're told they can't play because because everybody has to have their own bag.
Right.
Now, I can understand that we don't allow walkers, so in other words, you can't have spectators or caddies.
Right.
So in this case, you had, that I know of, it was dad and the son. They were both paying to play. They were just using one bag and told that they couldn't play,
That's
which was rectified.
right, but I mean, it's considered them, they're not on bigger courses. When you're,
Oh, yeah.
you're not,
Oh,
you know, you're not allowed to not have your bag with you.
That's correct.
So I think it might have fallen into that when we first.
Well, we
made
need
those.
to have further discussion on that, get that changed, because, yeah, for a big course, it
Right,
makes sense.
right,
Much longer fairways, much wider fairways in most instances. Makes sense, but I think with a course like ours that's short, thin on most of the fairways, I really don't think it's gonna hold up play. And I think, a parent and a son or daughter can play out of one bag and not create a problem. So we need to get that changed. I just don't want a repeat of that happening because there's really no need for it. Especially when it's not that busy anyway. All right, so let me know after you guys discuss it. All right, Teresa?
Resolution number 160 of 2020, a resolution authorizing Paul Van Alstine to work as a part-time armed court officer as needed.
So moved. Second.
By Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mrs. Standard. So our judges have asked that there be 2 guards on duty at all times at the courts, which is a change. Usually we just have the 1 guard working at any one time. So the town board has agreed to allow for 2 guards to be working at any one time per the judge's request. There's no sunset date on that. Just decided that continually assess conditions as time progresses. The new officers have been working in tandem. Officer Van Alstine, who's a security officer, will provide us with some additional person that can fill in, provide some flexibility to the department. He is qualified and can work as an armed court officer. So that is the reason for this resolution, and it's good to have people on staff that can work in various positions. Any questions? Okay. Teresa?
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowik? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 161 of 2020, a resolution recognizing the 200th anniversary of our neighbor, the town of Glenville. So moved.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Whalen, and want to congratulate the town of Glenville on 200 years. It won't be long, Clifton Park will be doing the same. Another 8 years, or at least according to our new sign on the lobby. We're coming up another 7 years, really, so. But we do congratulate Glenville. Always been a good partner. Done a couple of good projects with them that have benefited residents of both municipalities. We continue to have a water purchase contract as well. So we've had a good working relationship with them, and wish them all the best.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowik? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 162 of 2020, a resolution authorizing Kate Johnson to serve alcoholic beverages at a gathering to be held at Collins Park in Pavilion on September 19, 2020. So moved. Second.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walowik. Discussion.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowik?
Yeah.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 163 of 2020, a resolution authorizing Fifi Wang to serve alcoholic beverages at a gathering to be held at Collins Park Pavilion on September 11, 2020. So moved. Second.
By Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walowik. Discussion.
Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowik? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to move to executive session to discuss, possible pending legislation,
Thank you.
litigation, or legislation.
Second. Councilman Whalen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Walowik? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, okay. We'll enter executive session for approximately 15 minutes, at which time we will move to complete the meeting. Okay. So thank you, anybody that is not on the board, please excuse yourself, I appreciate it.